Chief Amos from the town of Middlesex.
Morning.
Thank you, Chief, for coming in, filling in. We greatly appreciate it. It's always good to have you.
Always appreciate the invitation.
How is everything in Middlesex?
Going pretty good. Can't complain about our call volume. You know, we do answer in between 600 and 700 calls a month, but none of it's any violent crime or anything major like that. The last year we've been focusing a lot on training. We've got officers in schools constantly. They're all certified now in CIT, which is critical incident training. We've got everybody chemical analyst certified, standardized field sobriety, radar, LIDAR. I've got one right now at the college in first line supervision.
Who's that?
Trevor Collins.
Okay.
Trevor's in class today.
Good kid.
He is, and we've just spent the whole year trying to focus on getting officers trained and making us a better and more professional department.
I know you've got a real good firearms instructor that looked after you this past year.
We did. We had a great firearms instructor.
How many officers do you have, full-time and part-time?
Altogether, we have a lucky number of 13 officers.
Okay.
Combined with our full and part-time.
Are you fully staffed?
We are. We're fully staffed.
Okay. To your knowledge, are you pretty much in line with everything like with Spring Hope or Nashville or Bailey for that matter, as far as salary, benefits, everything like that, or is it comparable?
Yeah, I think we're all
I know everybody's
kind of in the same
challenging
area.
issues at the moment.
I think we're all about in the same area as far as pay goes. I'm not sure what Nashville's start. I think Nashville's starting around 47 or so. Spring Hope has an opening right now at 46. So yeah, I think everybody's about on target.
Okay. Well, for those of you that are tuning in today, I just got a message to unmute the mic. Can you see that? I'm blind.
You got me doing technical stuff here.
Okay. We're good now? Sorry about that, buddy. I've touched something I probably wasn't supposed to touch. For those of you that kind of tune in from time to time, this show is about solving crimes, cold cases, bringing people to justice, helping families find closure. We pay up to $15,000 for tips that will lead to, we'll pay $15,000 just for a tip, depending on the quality of the tip. Chief, let the public know just how important it is for a tip.
Well, most of the time with any of these cases, you're not going to have an officer that's there witnessing.
That's right.
It's going to be members of the public that see it, and oftentimes, especially with your violent crimes, which is mostly what you deal with here, those witnesses are gone. They don't stick around when the bullets start flying or people start screaming. They're gone. So law enforcement often doesn't even know about that witness or about that information, and it could be something as simple as you saw what color truck left, or a description of a person, and it makes a huge difference in investigating cases.
That's one thing I like about cameras, because a camera is kind of like the best tipster that there is. I know recently y'all had a situation in the Middlesex area with campaign signs, and cameras played a role in identifying a vehicle, getting vehicle description, narrowing down the possible owner of the vehicle. It was just amazing at how, from a picture, from a camera, and a timeline, you were able to build a route where this truck actually took a route through town. It just amazes me.
Well, nowadays, like when I first got in law enforcement, cameras weren't really that big of a thing. Now, almost every business, every corner, people's houses, ring cameras, you can take, canvas in an area. You can just keep finding more and more video of someone or a vehicle, and you can track it all the way through somewhere just based off the cameras that angle towards the road now.
And Rocky Mount Police Department has a program with businesses that if you allow Rocky Mount to have access to your business cameras, and this actually led to a lot of solving crime here in Rocky Mount. We had some cases that I had sent in earlier. There's two. Do you have those ready to show? Okay. Show us one of them and let's talk about it briefly. This is Trevante Reese Des Stratton. He's wanted in connection with multiple B&E and larcenies in the Whitaker area. He's known to frequent the Jerry Dixon community. Folks, if you know anything about where he could be, please call 252-406-6736. Again, Trevante Stratton, he's wanted. Please, if you know anything, if you know where he might be, where he might be frequenting, law enforcement needs to reach out and find him. The other one is Spring Hope. Aaron Lucas from the Spring Hope community. He's wanted on rape charges. He is considered dangerous. Again, he's wanted for rape. 252-406-6736 or the Nash County Sheriff's Office at 252-459-4121. We appreciate that. Folks, if you know where these people are, pick the phone up, give us a call. Law enforcement needs to speak with both of them. Well, Chief, won't be too long. You'll be planning for your night out against crime. It'll be here before you know it.
It will. We did take everybody's suggestion from last year, and we're going to move it to September where it's a little cooler.
Okay.
Instead of in the middle of August when it's
It is a little hot. Yeah.
I tend to run hot-natured, so I have no problem with everybody wanting to push it back to a little bit cooler weather. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to run it in September this year.
And you know, you always have a huge crowd.
We do. We're very
do.
fortunate to have a lot of people come out for it. We have great vendor support. In fact,
It sounds like, I mean, every year it gets bigger and bigger.
it does. You know, we don't charge the vendors anything to come out and set up. So as long as we've got enough street and enough people that want to do it, it'll just continue to grow.
Any tentative date?
It's going to be about mid-September. I don't remember what date I picked because I had to avoid Fireman's Day
Right.
and some stuff like that. But I do have a date. I just don't remember it off the top of my head.
Well, folks, if you've never been to Night Out Against Crime, especially in Middlesex, it's almost like a festival.
That's kind of how we run it now.
Yeah,
Yes, it's like a big
is.
street festival.
People bring their lawn chairs. You have live music.
Yep.
You have face painting. It is a big deal in Middlesex.
It is, and we really enjoy putting it on. It gives everybody an opportunity to come out and have a good time, listen to some music, see what local businesses and vendors are around for them to shop with or trade with. I even hear there's a good concealed weapons course guy out there
Yeah.
that sets up.
I know him. I know him well.
so-
He looks forward to coming out and supporting you each year.
So yeah, we enjoy it. It's a big thing for our area because there's really not anything else in our little part of the county that goes on like that.
Well, we've got a couple of Middlesex-related cases that we were going to talk about and just kind of discuss and see if you knew where things might be. The first one we're going to talk about is Philip Lee Willoughby. I call it the Dollar General case. But this case is from November 27, 2020. In the early morning hours, Nash County Sheriff's Office and the North Carolina State Highway Patrol responded to a hit and run involving a pedestrian on NC 231 just south of town there at Nash County. Upon arrival, troopers discovered a deceased male who was identified as Philip Lee Willoughby, Jr. of Middlesex. Mr. Willoughby had been struck by an unknown vehicle and the vehicle had fled the scene after impact. Investigators believe that he ran out of gas the night of November 27th, left his car at a nearby Dollar General, and was walking home when he was hit. A Middlesex police officer spoke with him that night, but Willoughby told him that he was waiting on a ride. At last check, the keys to his vehicle were never found. His cell phone was found several days later in an area that was already searched multiple times. Now, it's my understanding that he was struck on NC 231 just south of town near the cemetery.
It was
Somewhere in that general area.
It was just before the cemetery.
Okay.
And the kind of the odd thing about it was he was walking southbound.
Okay.
The vehicle that struck him was going northbound. So the vehicle that struck him had to cross over onto
That's
the other lanes to hit him.
I didn't know that.
And then the vehicle, based on the evidence at the scene, stopped and then continued on. So there's really no doubt that the people in the vehicle knew what they had done.
So that sounds like either A, it was intentional, or B, distracted driving, one of the two.
That time of night, we kind of theorized the same thing. It was either intentional and he knew the person driving the car, or a drunk driver, distracted driver.
Mm-hmm. Now, you know, in our community, rumors are rampant, just like they are with anything. And I've heard, not through law enforcement sources, but, you know, cameras were watched there at the Dollar General, at the pit stop. Suspicious people were around him in the Dollar General. They say that they believe he had a large sum of money, things like that. Anything that you can speak to on the record?
From what I remember, I didn't realize it had been 4 years. That's crazy that it's coming up on 4 years now. From what I remember of it, he did not have any large sums of money on him prior to him leaving the Dollar General. He had attempted to call some family members to pick him up, but decided that he wanted to walk home instead. I believe he lived in Johnston County. It was Woodard Dairy Road, from what I recall, and he was trying to walk back to there. Unfortunately, where he was hit just was not very visible from the roadway, and so it did take on until the next morning before anybody located him.
There's not a time listed in the in the information that we have. What do you remember as far as the time that it may have been?
Well, that's where it gets kind of tricky. Cameras at the hardware store show him there around, I think, between 10 and 10:30 at night. Now, he wasn't found until around 11 o'clock in the morning the next day. And that was just because the position of the body after the accident was off the road, and there's kind of a slope there. And so all the morning commuters, everybody driving through, would not have been able to see him. In fact, at one point during that night, a deputy conducted a traffic stop right there. And
Wow.
obviously in the dark, being off the road, if people during the day couldn't have seen him, nobody at night could have seen him. And so he was actually found because someone was moving a piece of farm equipment and sitting up that high, they were able to see it.
Yeah.
And that's really what got him located.
Okay. All right. Interesting. You know, folks, if you know anything about the Philip Lee Willoughby case, this is a big story in southern Nash County. It's a big thing in Middlesex. If you know anything about this case, the smallest tip could lead to solving it. I know the Nash County Sheriff's Office is involved. I know the North Carolina Highway Patrol is involved. I don't know to what extent or anything y'all are involved, but please, if you know anything, if nothing else, reach out to Middlesex Police Department, reach out to the Sheriff's Office, Star HP, share that tip. Who knows, you could get paid up to $15,000 in cash.
And it's often the smallest piece of information that you think wouldn't help us that may actually turn out breaking a case.
You know, the last 2 Thursdays that I've been here working, I have left and received a tip on a case in this book the last 2 weeks in a row on different cases. And it looks like there has been some movement in one of those cases as a result. So stay tuned. Some things might be happening. But we're going to take a break, pay some bills. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And welcome back. We're with Chief Amos this morning of Middlesex Police Department. We were talking off the air. Folks, there's a lot of things with a lot of these cases, details and facts that we don't share with the public for whatever reason. It's an investigative, issue. We do it to protect the integrity of the case. If you know something about a case, please chime in, share it. One of the things that's right around the corner, and like you always have the Night Out Against Crime, one of the things my family loves to go to is the, what's the thing in Nashville?
The Blooming Festival?
The Blooming Festival
Yeah,
is
coming up
right
in May.
around the corner.
Coming up in May.
Are y'all sending people?
We got the mutual aid request yesterday.
Okay.
I had to ask some questions about it, about what days and how many they needed, but yeah, we're gonna have some officers.
That's a great event too, and it usually lasts pretty much all weekend.
Yeah.
It's like a 2 or 3 day thing, but it's almost very similar to your Night Out Against Crime. They have rides. It's almost like a fair thing, what they have, but it's still a great event. My family loves going. Fun time is had by all, and usually, does Bailey send officers?
I'm not sure if they do
Okay,
or not.
I know Rocky Mountain does, I know Highway Patrol does, Sheriff's Department does. I can imagine that Spring Hope probably does, but it's a great event. Please, if you don't have anything going on, I believe it's May 10th and 11th. Mark your calendars, come out. We'd love to see you at the Blooming Festival. There is another Middlesex case in here that is talked about very, very often down in our neck of the woods. The Travis Lynch case. This is a case that Nash County is involved in, the FBI is involved in, the state's involved in. This gentleman just disappeared off the face of the earth. Travis Lynch. December 24th, 2003. Travis Lynch was last seen on Christmas Eve, 2003. He had been drinking heavily at a friend's house, and he and his girlfriend, Carlisha Whitley, went to her house on Claude Lewis Road in Middlesex so he could sober up. He was last seen leaving her home at around 1 a.m. trying to get to his own home on Glendale Drive in Wilson. Lynch was supposed to call Carlisha when he arrived, but he never did. She called his mother to ask if he had gotten home. When Travis's family members went to Middlesex to ask about him, they weren't allowed inside. His mother reported him missing on December 26th. He has never been heard from again. His car, a white 1992 Pontiac Grand Am with North Carolina license plate number RZS 4814, Robert Zebra Sam 4814, has never been found. A photo of a similar car is down in the summary. Lynch had purchased that vehicle just the day before he went missing, after his previous car was damaged in a fire. 4 months after Lynch disappeared, a mobile home owned by Carlisha's family was destroyed by 2 different fires. The residence, which was on Stony Hill Church Road down in the Gallberry and the Bailey community, did not have electricity to it at the time. It initially caught fire on April 23rd, 2004, but didn't completely burn down. A few days later, there was another fire at the home, which completely destroyed it. The home was occupied by Sean Fontaine Whitley at the time. He is currently serving a term in federal prison for unrelated drug offenses, and I think he has since been released. Investigators believe that the fires were suspicious, but stopped short of calling them arson. Well, I got news for you. If you don't have electricity to a house and it catches on fire,
Kind of tough to explain.
that's anything short of lightning. But they think the fires may have been related to Lynch's disappearance. It's uncharacteristic of Lynch to leave without warning. He does have a violent temper, and investigators theorized that he might have gotten into a physical altercation with someone that resulted in his death. this case remains unsolved. And again, like Sean Whitley, we're all about the same age. We went to Southern Nash together. We all grew up together. I know this family. I know these people. This is a big story down in Middlesex. A lot of rumors. Like I told you, the FBI is involved. Other federal agencies are involved. Folks, if you know anything about the Travis Lynch case, if you know where he might be, if you know where the car might be, please pick the phone up, reach out to Nash County Sheriff's Office, contact Middlesex Police Department, put $15,000 in your pocket. Share that tip. I know this family wants information on this case. They stay in contact with Misty Strickland at the Sheriff's Office. This is a case that she has kind of sort of put under her belt that she really tries to work at every opportunity. Again, I mean, it's a home case.
Right.
A lot of unanswered questions. But I will also share with you that there's a lot of information here that's not being shared with the public, for investigative purposes. But again, if you know something, please, this family could really appreciate that tip.
And in these type of investigations, it doesn't even have to be anything that you necessarily saw. It could be what you've heard.
That's exactly
Somebody
right.
said, I know so-and-so did this, or I did this myself. And that information could help investigators a lot. It could help corroborate information that you already have. It could lead you on to a new avenue of investigation. So in cases like this, especially the longer they go on, literally the smallest thing can help in an investigation.
This, where this house burnt down, there was a club next door to it. And I can't think of the name of it for nothing in the world. But it was a club that the Highway Patrol and the Sheriff's Office had problems with for years. So I could see a scenario where some people from the club literally walked across the property line and burned it down. So this club had hundreds of people that would attend it 2 or 3 times a week. There's no doubt in my mind there are people that attended that club on a regular basis that have information that would lead to solving this case. There's no doubt in my mind. But the crazy thing is, I was at the car wash in Bailey the last time we talked about this case, washing my car. Another person who I grew up with from the Bailey community come up and was talking to me about it. And he's like, JP, you ain't gonna solve that case. I said, tell me why. He said, man, he started explaining things to me. And I said, whoa, time out. Have you told this to the sheriff's office? And he said, I ain't getting involved in it. I ain't getting involved in this. I said, man, you need to share this information. And he didn't name names. He didn't finger point anything that I could have reshared. But I did stop. I said, man, you need to share this. Folks, not just this case, any case. If you get hearsay information, share it. I immediately reached out to Misty and I said, look, you need to know I heard this. And so I passed it on. I did my due diligence. I shared it. But folks, if you know something about a case, share it. That little bit of information that you might think is totally insignificant to lead to breaking a case. And like I told you earlier in here, I recently had somebody share some information with me leaving the show. I shared it, and fingers are crossed that it's going to probably lead to breaking a case right here locally, a case that we talk about frequently here on the air, and I'm looking forward to it.
And that's the thing. A lot of people may think, well, I only know, what I heard, or I only know it was a red car or whatever. And while that may seem very minor to you, to us as investigators, that may actually put pieces of a puzzle of information that we have as a whole together, and it may make or break a case.
Yep.
So everything, any information on any case, especially the longer they go on, like the Travis Lynch case, it may seem minor to you, but it may actually really break a case.
Do y'all have any ongoing cases that are cold, or whether it be B&E or anything?
Thankfully, we don't.
And that's good.
It is good. The cases that we have had, any break-ins or larcenies, most all of those we've been able to investigate and find out that either there wasn't actually a crime, or we've been able to make our arrests in it. So we've been very fortunate. We get very few break-ins in the town of Middlesex.
Because y'all have an outstanding police department, right?
We try.
Yeah.
We try to, 24/7, we're out there patrolling and being visible. It makes a big difference to be present 24/7 and constantly patrolling. You never know when we're going to pop up or what street we're going to turn down. And I think that does, even with the construction that we've had, we haven't had any construction larcenies. We've been very fortunate.
That's unusual.
That is unusual.
Yeah.
And you can see around us where they have them and where we just don't, because, everybody pretty much knows if you come through Middlesex and you're speeding or anything, you're going to get stopped. So we're going to know who you are. There's cameras everywhere, and we're, middle of the night, you come through there, you're going to see us riding down the road somewhere. So we're very fortunate to have a very hard-working and dedicated police force, and that really deters a lot of our crime.
I've told people, just like a police officer in a uniform, a marked patrol car, it is just to see it is a deterrent in and of itself. Now, you turn blue lights on, it draws even more attention. You stop a car and you're issuing a warning ticket. You might as well have written 10 tickets, because when the community sees it, they're like, you better slow down. Because, Middlesex or Bailey or whoever, they're going to put you in the book.
Yeah, and as far as prevention and stuff, when you see us on the side of the road, you don't know what that driver's getting. They could get a verbal warning, a written warning, or a citation. But if I pull you over and write you a warning, I'm still going to check your license and check your tags, make sure you have insurance. And that whole time, people drive by and they see those lights, and it slows down traffic. It cuts down our collision rate. It cuts down the chances of a fatal collision or high injury collision. It does so much just to stop that one car and tell people, hey.
And see, the public thinks it's about writing tickets, and it's not. It's about changing, modifying behavior. It's about changing your behavior tomorrow when you're on the way to work. So that when you're going down that road and you think, oh my God, I better slow down, because he's usually up here running around. Yep. That's what it's designed to do.
Exactly.
And then that spills over into crash reduction. That spills over into, property damage, things like that.
If I'm sitting there with a car stopped, you're not going to break into the business next to me.
That's exactly right.
You're going to keep going. The other thing is, if if we are stopping and warning people or whatever for headlights, taillights, speeding, expired registration, most criminals' cars are not up to date on everything. You don't want to bring your car through my town, because you're going to get stopped, and we're going to know what you're up to.
Sheriff Jenkins caught some flack years ago when he created a traffic enforcement division, and it was like a wolf pack of deputies that would go around and work traffic in a given area of the county. It wasn't, and I told him, I said, it's not about the sheriff trying to get tickets written. It's about being seen with blue lights on a car.
Yep.
To alter behavior pattern.
Well, and a lot of people think that tickets are about revenue.
Yeah.
It actually costs us more money to write a ticket. We don't get anything from those, and we have to supply the officer and the gas in the car and the citation itself now that they're on printer paper. We don't get anything from tickets.
But we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more on the K-Files. And welcome back. We were talking off the air about old patrol cars and things like that, and reminiscing. I worked at Middlesex when we had black and silver patrol cars, and I worked at the sheriff's office when we had gold patrol cars. When I worked with DMV enforcement, we had Carolina blue, or very similar Carolina blue cars with the North Carolina state flag, and naturally the black and silver highway patrol cars. To me now, the sharpest car I ever had was the DMV enforcement.
That blue
Carolina
with the
blue.
state flag down the
Yes.
side. And it's kind of funny because a lot of the younger officers now,
They don't know of that
they've
agency.
never even heard of it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
You talk about the old blue car, they have no clue.
Yeah.
They have no clue what it is.
DMV enforcement had the sharpest patrol car I ever had. Beautiful car. I loved seeing that car in my yard. We had first class equipment. We got brand new equipment. About every 2 years, you got a new patrol car. And the difference is with DMV, when you got a new car, not only did you get a new car, you got a new radar.
Yeah, all
You
your
got
equipment was
all
new.
your equipment
Yep,
in
everything
it.
in the car was new instead of just switching it.
Yeah. I mean, it was. It's now known as, well, what is left of it is License and Theft Bureau.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, when Mike Easley was governor, they split what was DMV, and they took the truck transportation enforcement arm, or what I call the uniform division, and sent it to the patrol. And the plain clothes division became License and
Instead
Theft
of DMV
Bureau.
became license and theft.
Yeah, and it's still a good. I mean, it's a wonderful agency to work for. Both of them are. Highway Patrol was good to me, good to my family. Some of my friends, they chose to stay at License and Theft, and they're captains. Many of them's going on and retired. And Jason Daniel from Middlesex, I believe he's a captain now down in Greenville. But most of people have gone on and retired. But a great place, and something else you were saying earlier, man, it just struck a memory. When I was 20 years old, went to work at Middlesex. And I remember I had to work a few days with Vinnie Brock, who was the chief of police at the time. And you know how Vinnie could be kind of grouchy and, let me tell you something.
Kind of grouchy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something, boy. He said, I'm not going to tell you you got to get out here and write tickets. I'm not going to tell you you got to get out here and stop a bunch of cars. He said, but I'm going to tell you, you better check your buildings. You better check your doors. Because if I come in the next morning and you've been stopping cars all night long, writing tickets all night long, I ain't going to say nothing. But if I come in and you've been doing that, and we got houses and businesses that's been broke into, we're going to have a problem. And that's old school policing.
Yeah.
And at the time I was like, what are you talking about? I thought I was supposed to get out here and write tickets and stop cars. But what it taught me is, not that working traffic's not important, but if you're out here trying to find cars to stop and write a ticket to, and you allowed your town to get pillaged overnight, houses to get broke into, businesses to get broken into, larcenies to occur, you've really not benefited. You've not policed.
Exactly.
You know.
I worked in a small agency years ago, and they had an officer. There was one gas station on that side of town that was open 24 hours. And the officer went up there one night and sat up there for almost the whole shift drinking coffee, and they broke into everything down the main street. And I mean just busted out plate glass windows, went into every business, in the day shift caught it. The night shift never caught it, and they had to drive back that way to the station. So you know they never looked left or right going down the road. And that's just something I've never wanted to happen while I was working. You know, I never wanted it to be me, so I've always tried to, you go out, anything after 11, you're looking at glass. You know, you go out looking for your break-ins or try to prevent them as much as you can. If one happened, you always wanted to find it instead of a business owner or a homeowner finding it.
And you know, when I went to work for Sheriff Jimmy Grimes years later, he was very similar in his approach. And he's like, look, let me tell you something. The side of that car says Nash County Sheriff. I am the Nash County Sheriff. And he said it politely. He's like, it don't say North Carolina Highway Patrol. You know, if you need to take an enforcement action on a traffic stop, do it. But your job is to serve the people of Nash County in my name. And that is be seen in your community, know your community, help your community. It ain't get out here, stop cars, and write traffic tickets.
Right.
And at the time, in my early 20s, I was like,
That's tough when you first
I
get
didn't
in.
really get it. But the more senior I became, I get it. Well, folks, Chief, first and foremost, brother, thank you for coming on the show.
Always appreciate the invitation.
Appreciate you coming in, helping us out. To the viewers, thank you for tuning in to the K-Files. We greatly appreciate it. We'll be back next Thursday. Until then, everybody be safe.